Hi guys, it's April and I garden down in southeast Nebraska, zone 6A, and it is time to start seeds. This is traditionally the time I start seeds every single year, beginning of February. I'm about 14 weeks out from when I plant my tomatoes and peppers. I'm about 12 weeks out from my last frost date. And since I am doing some of the cool crops, I'm technically about 8 weeks out from planting the early spring crops. I know that was a lot of numbers to throw at you all at once. I'm doing that simply because even though I might be starting some of these things, you may have already started them, or it just might be that you're about to start them as well. So I wanted to give some of those numbers so you knew about when I was in my planting gardening season, since we're all kind of in different areas. I do all of my seed starting schedule, of course, based on my last frost date, hence why I gave you all of those numbers. And today I am doing lettuce. Now, technically, I'm several weeks too early to be starting my lettuce that will be planted outside, but I do have a guinea pig who really likes fresh lettuce, and sometimes we like fresh lettuce a little early. So I will harvest it while it's still underneath these grow lights. And then if there's still some of those plants left that we haven't completely decimated as I'm waiting to plant things outside, they might get planted outside. So technically, these may or may not make it out to the garden. Most of the time they do, but we do get a few harvests inside before any of that happens. I have some pots sitting over there soaking up some water. If I edit it the way I think I'm going to be editing it, you will have seen me fill those pots. I've chosen 5 different varieties that I am going to be attempting inside and eventually outside this year. And I had to do all of my new row 7 varieties because they just sound too good not to try. And that, of course, is the spinach lettuce, the Tegan lettuce, the dino lettuce, and then I have this new spotted Aleppo lettuce. And traditionally, I've kind of always gravitated towards the butter varieties, and this is a Butter King. I have started in these pots some compost potting soil style stuff because I know this is going to be inside for a while and I wanted the nutrients already to be in the soil. So this isn't a sterilized seed mix. And then after I put the seeds to soil, I am going to top it off with some vermiculite. But of course, I will show you that as I do it. But I'm just excited to be starting seeds. It's the 2025 growing season and it has begun. So I'm not gonna make this too overly complicated because honestly, doing lettuce isn't that complicated. It is a small seed, so I will not actually be burying it. I will be just lightly spreading it on the soil. This is, of course, the Butter King, and that I have back here. And I don't want to get too many seeds. So I'm just gonna scatter that a little bit. And I'm not even gonna bury those. That is what the vermiculite is going to be for. And of course, I've got the spotted Aleppo, which is right here. Here's a stick. These seeds are even smaller. Next up, I have the dino lettuce, and I am super excited to try all these new varieties this year. I have the tendency to not give my lettuce time to bulb up if it's a head up, head up if it's a heading variety. I have a tendency to just start picking greens whenever I am hungry. So I have actually, in my 4 years of gardening, ever gotten an actual head of lettuce. I've always harvested them by leaf as I needed. So this is the Tegan, which is back here. And last but not least, the one I'm actually the most excited for is this spinach lettuce. I always seem to prefer fresh spinach over fresh lettuce. And so to have the two kind of merged together, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Seal this up. And then what I am going to do is I'm going to water the seeds in real quick, so that pushes them down in the soil before I actually put the vermiculite on. Get some of this vermiculite on there. This bag is ginormous. I've had it for years. Just gonna lightly sprinkle that on top. So this will help keep some of that moisture at the top so that those seeds can sprout. It'll also cover them a little bit because these don't need light to grow. And they also don't necessarily need a heat pad either, since they are a cool weather. But they do need moisture. Okay, that looks good. And then I will mist this in as well. The last thing I'm going to do before I get these under a humidity dome is I'm going to move these over because they've gotten a chance to just sit in the water for a while. And I don't want it to be overly saturated. And then I will find somewhere to dump this water out, a plant outside that needs it or something like that. Like I said, the lettuce doesn't necessarily need the light to germinate, but the light is actually heating up this area a little bit. I have a thermometer right there where I'm keeping track of what the temperature is underneath the light. And right now it's reading 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Normally, if the lights are off, it's about 65. So this is keeping it at least 5 degrees warmer when the lights are on. I have the giant humidity dome over it because with the pots I currently have in that, the square humidity dome doesn't fit. So at least until I start germinating, I'm gonna have this particular somewhat jerry-rigged setup in place. It'll keep the moisture in as needed. I'll have to keep an eye on it because it might drip water because it's not quite a tight fit. But I usually end up misting these kind of seedlings every day. And since it's right here, I can keep my eye on it, make sure it's still moist until all of those seedlings start to come up. So that is all I do for lettuce. Each year I tend to change my methods just a little bit because I am still learning. I don't know everything, but this has worked for me in the past. And we're gonna go on this journey together. So if you want to come with me on this journey as I continue to start seeds for the 2025 garden, I do know later this week I'm going to be starting my bulbing onions. So that's gonna happen, and then from here on out, almost every week I'm gonna be starting something new. So feel free to subscribe down below, hit the bell to do all the things to get all of the notifications. I also have an Instagram and Threads account where you can follow some of my progress. I tend to update it with the things that I don't think fit in my videos. I know I'm going to start filling some of those new beds that I built in the next couple weeks or so. And there's also some plans for how I want to do the back in-ground beds. Possibility of more kiwi and grapes to be added to my menagerie of a garden. And I'll probably be doing most of those kind of garden cleanup as the season starts over on Instagram and Threads, in case you're interested. Otherwise, I would love to know where you are at in your seed starting journey, or if you prefer to buy starts, that's totally fine. I understand. Sometimes this is a lot of work and you need a lot of space, so I get it. But I'd love to know where you're at with your gardening season, so tell me down below. I do hope I will see you guys again in another video, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.